Winning doesn't take courage. Coming back after you've already won, when you have everything to lose and nothing left to prove, that is where real bravery actually lies. This is the Iron Files, and tonight, the story of a man who had everything to lose and nothing to prove. His name was Marcus Calloway, and the bravest thing he ever did wasn't winning. It was going back. 14 years. That's how long Marcus Calloway sat at the top. Middleweight boxing, 3 title defenses, 41 wins, 0 defeats. He retired at 36 with something almost no fighter gets, a perfect record. The world carved his name into granite and moved on. 3 years into retirement, Marcus had the house, the commentating gig, the invitations. He smiled at galas. He shook hands with senators. And every morning at 4 a.m., he woke up in the dark and shadowboxed in his kitchen alone because his body hadn't gotten the memo that it was over.
That's where Alina Voss found him, not at the gala. In the kitchen at 4 in the morning, throwing combinations at nothing. Alina was a journalist, sharp pen, sharper tongue, and she'd covered Marcus since his first title fight. She didn't knock. She just leaned against the doorframe and said, "You look ridiculous."
"I'm thinking about going back," Marcus said. He didn't look at her. Alina set down her coffee. "Going back to what? Losing? You're 40 years old, 39. Marcus, you retired undefeated. You are literally the only person in history who got out clean. Why would you walk back into a burning building?"
She wasn't wrong. Every analyst, every former coach, every talking head with a microphone said the same thing: stay retired. The math was clean, 41-0. A statue outside the arena, legacy locked. The smart move, the safe move, was to never fight again.
But Marcus kept waking up at 4, kept throwing punches at shadows, and one night, still in the dark, still alone, he said something out loud that he'd been swallowing for 3 years. "I'm not preserved, I'm buried."
He called Alina the next morning. "I'm doing it, I'm coming back." The line went quiet. Then people remember the last image, Marcus, the last fight, the last round. That's what they carry. You lose once, just once, and 20 years of dominance becomes a footnote under the headline, "Former champ falls."
She believed she was protecting him, and she was right about all of it. The risk was real. One loss rewrites the story. The young fighters were faster, hungrier, unbroken. Marcus knew every word she said was true. He filed the paperwork anyway. Here's what Alina, what everyone didn't know. Psychologists who study end-of-life regret have found something that cuts against every safe instinct we have. The risks people mourn most aren't the ones they took and lost. They're the ones they never took at all. The near miss of a chance not seized generates deeper, more lasting pain than any failure. We don't haunt ourselves with what went wrong. We haunt ourselves with what we never tried. Marcus trained for 5 months. No cameras, no announcement. A rented gym in a part of town where nobody recognized him. His sparring partners were 23 years old. They hit harder than he remembered. His ribs ached in places that didn't used to exist. But every morning he got up. Every morning, 4 a.m., he chose the kitchen floor over the king's throne.
Alina came to watch once. She stood in the back with her arms crossed. Didn't say a word for 40 minutes. Then, as Marcus untaped his hands, "You're slower," he nodded. "I know. Your right hook drops an inch when you're tired. I know that too." She stared at him. "Then what exactly do you have that they don't?"
Marcus looked at her for a long time. "I know exactly who I am when it gets bad. They don't, not yet."
Fight night, 17,000 seats. The challenger was 26, unbeaten in 14 bouts, fast as a lit fuse. The crowd roared his name. Marcus walked in last, slower, grayer, and completely silent. No music, no entourage, just tape, trunks, and a man who'd already buried himself once and climbed out. Rounds 1 through 4, the young challenger was everything they said: fast, vicious. Marcus 8 shots he would have slipped 10 years ago. His corner screamed adjustments. The broadcast team started using the word sad. By round 5, the world was watching a legend get dismantled, and there was a moment between rounds when Marcus could have stayed on the stool. No one would have blamed him. The towel was right there. He stood up, not because the crowd wanted him to. Half of them were already leaving. Not because he thought he'd win. He stood up because sitting down would mean Alina was right. That the last image is all that matters, and he refused to let the last image be a man who quit when it got ugly. Round 6, Marcus stopped chasing the knockout. He fought like who he was: patient, precise, brutal in the details. He didn't need to be faster. He needed to be inevitable.
He didn't win, split decision loss. His first, his perfect record gone. In the locker room afterward, Alina was already there. She didn't say "I told you so." She sat next to him on the bench, quiet for a long time. Then I was wrong. The last image people will remember isn't the loss. It's you getting off that stool. Marcus smiled through a broken lip. Yeah, me too.
So here's what Marcus Calloway left in that ring. Not a perfect record, something heavier. Proof that courage isn't the absence of something to lose. It's the presence of something you refuse to leave untested. The next time you're sitting on something comfortable, a job, a streak, a version of yourself everyone applauds and a voice says go back in, risk it, find out if it's still true, listen. Because the deepest regret doesn't come from losing. It comes from the fight you never took. The hardest return is after triumph. If that landed, if you felt that, then you already know what you need to do next. Not tomorrow, now. Subscribe to Forge Your Iron Mindset, the Iron Mindset.